Hello, how are you doing today? Well, today I didn't work and I'm home and I'm getting lots of things accomplished and I felt like I had to make a video. I wanted to talk to you so bad. And this has nothing to do with what I bought or anything like that. A lot of my videos are, the new things I buy and all that. But what I really wanted to talk about was imagination and our sense of play as we get older. I think a lot of people are so busy being adults and being serious that they get into a rut and they're depressed and their life is just chaos. And although you do have to deal with things, I think to have a sub-reality is so important. And you can bring that into your real reality, if that's what you want to call it, and it makes it so easier to cope with. I have always been a daydreamer. And I wanted to make this video and talk about this, but I didn't know if anybody would really pay any attention or see it. I don't hardly ever get comments, but I notice I do have a couple of new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. And, people that find me weird or just boring or whatever, that's fine. They don't have to watch this. But I love people on here that are kind of quirky or different, and there's a lot of them, and I love to come across and find videos of people because I like people that aren't so-called normal, you know what. So anyway, something I wanted to talk about, I may talk about different subjects, and I'd like to start making my videos more often. I don't know if it'll be daily, but like just creative ideas, random ideas. So if you find it weird, I'm sorry, that's just the way it's going to be. Today, I gave a lot of thought to multitasking. We all hear that word, but what does it mean when you're at home and you're doing work? Well, today, I had laundry going while I was doing something else. And I think the key to it is to make sure you're doing two things at once. Now, if you're just messing around and just sitting around doing nothing and got laundry going, that doesn't really count. But I mean, if you've got something else you're doing and you can do two things at once that way, that's wonderful. And most people do that, but I got to thinking, what else could I multitask? I really couldn't say. Now, I did vacuum while the clothes were drying, but it's good to brainstorm and write down a list of things like that. What is some things you could do to multitask today? And I don't know, I've just had so many things going through my head today. I don't know if I'm OCD, I probably am, or ADD, whatever, but I got to thinking how important it is even to instill in your kids daydreaming and imagination. My dad was kind of a daydreamer, but he was a responsible person. My mom was more serious. But that's okay. That's what you call balance in a marriage. And my husband is a little more serious. But we make good imagination partners. I may have an idea or a daydream about something, and he has an idea. And we put them together. And we have wonderful adventures, going places, eating things, giving foot massages and playing Middle Eastern music while we do that or something. Whatever. That may sound kind of like too much information, but it's nothing bad. It's just the whole thing is, it doesn't have to be a big production, just little things. Now, I understand that some of you have children at home and you can't really do that kind of thing, but whatever you have to do, whether it's buying a new food or creating a menu and telling your family, okay, we're going to dine in Italy tonight, and then you can do spaghetti and lasagna and all, there's just a way to do it. When my son was young, his grandmother had bought him a teepee, just a kid-sized teepee. And I don't know if we were watching a Western or what we were doing, but he had it in the living room. And I remember telling him, okay, we're going to have cowboy beans for dinner. And he thought that was neat. And it was just probably baked beans or beans, but I called them cowboy beans. And so we kind of had this whole atmosphere going. And I think he still remembers that. And see, I think your children, although you can buy them the new shiny toys and the electronics, which, this is 2018. I understand that. That's just the way things are. We do live in a technological age, and to some degree, you take part or you get left behind in the dirt. That's just part of it. And I'm sort of resistant to change, but you have to be a little flexible and just think of it as a different way of doing the same thing that everybody's done for years. It's just a newer, better, faster way. But sometimes it's nice to just, relax, do things the old-fashioned way. And I really feel like they're going to remember things like that better than they're going to remember the shiny toy you got them when they were 10. But they're going to remember the Cowboy Beans and all that kind of stuff. But I just have a lot of fun. I've told you that I have journals. And these journals, I write down a lot of random things, a lot of random ideas. And sometimes I'll go back and refer to them or just look through them and just get inspired. And they're wonderful because they're really me. They're just done according to how I like to do them. They're not a certain style exactly like anyone else. But also, I like to make lists. I make lists for everything. And it's good to make just creative lists for things or ideas you might have, because I know I've done that and kind of forgotten and go back and see them, and I'm just like, oh yay, I want to try it now. And it's fun to do that. But today, let's see, what have I done? I filled up the bird feeders. Well, I have one I put bird feed in, and I had some suet that we bought for the birds. I hung out a few clothes on a little clothesline I have, vacuumed, lemon oiled some of my furniture, and then I'm going to go see my mom after a while. But I've had so much going through my head, and I wanted to make this video because I really want us to have a sense of play. And I don't think you should grow old and die and just, when you grow old, think, oh, I miss being a child. Life was carefree. We've all said that. But if you keep that sense of adventure going, even if it's in your mind, okay? Nobody can go into your head. You can be doing any job and put yourself mentally somewhere else. And so, it's boundless. It's limitless. What are some things you can do to make your day more imaginative, or your workplace? Sometimes I take my journals with me when I go to work. I work as a substitute teacher, and I stay busy a lot. But I still try to have that sense of fun, and I find it works. If I have to create creative lunches to take to work, that's fun. Maybe the type of clothing I wear, not anything weird, but there's just a lot you can do to instill fun. And the more relaxed you are in your life, whether you're at work or at home, the more things are going to flow. And it's just a lot of fun. I don't know what I'll do today. I've been watching some old 1950s commercials for the housewives and for shampoo, and those are so much fun. How they present. I wish commercials were a little more imaginative and playful. It just seems like all they're about is cell phones and cars, because that's what sells, I guess. But, back in the day, like you had Prel shampoo, and, it was displayed with lots of sparkles behind it, and women with all this beautiful hair. And I know a lot of people think, oh, that's just cheesy. That's not real life. Exactly. That's what imagination is. It doesn't have to be about real life. I know a lady told me one time she didn't like to read a book that wasn't realistic. And I remember thinking, but that's what it's all about. It's escape. We have enough real life. Now, having an imagination does not mean that you're irresponsible, okay? You still have to do what you have to do in life. But you can't let that consume you to the point where you can't have an imagination. Okay? If for an hour you do something that isn't imaginative, you're going to find that's going to infuse you and relax you, and you're going to have a better day. Today, I don't know so much. I think more with me it's been a mindset versus I've really done anything. But I do have some videos of some people that are kind of quirky that I'm going to watch today. And I don't really have anything in particular right at the moment. I guess I'm just rambling, mainly just to give you advice and tell you, please don't be afraid to use your imagination. And Have fun with it. Have fun with your kids. Wear some fun jewelry. Do something. Lately, I've been getting out some vintage cookbooks and kind of following them, but kind of using shortcuts. Like, I have a cookbook. I didn't use it yesterday, but I did use a 1950s cookbook. I have a Betty Crocker cookbook that's like a little one that's like 1954, and it had a recipe for chili, and I made a homemade chili with hot dogs, and it was really good. Now, I didn't do it exactly like they said, and I did add some cumin. They only called for chili powder, and it turned out good, but the fun was knowing that that was an old recipe. And I did make a recipe out of a cookbook. I think the recipes go back to the early 1900s. It was a Fanny Farmer, but I used new shortcuts, and what I made was called apricot horns. That was it. And it was just a roll with apricot. I put preserves and chopped almonds and powdered sugar. It was really good. But I just didn't make the dough. I bought frozen dough. So that was the shortcut. So with a lot of these old recipes, especially ones that have a ton of ingredients, look at them and see, okay, what could I do with a modern day ingredient that would be a shortcut? And you'd be surprised at what you can do. Because I know I used to shy away from a lot of these recipes. So I think, I don't want, it's too hard, too many ingredients. But there's a lot of things nowadays that can add shortcuts. And then you're basically creating the recipe that's in that book. And when I made that, I had to stop and think, wow, I wonder if they were similar. And this is what they were tasted like in the early 1900s. I recently watched a video about a chef that recreated the Titanic menu. And I thought that was so neat. He had the menu, only he did it. He actually did it. And a lot of the stuff, to me, just didn't sound good. But I think people's taste back in the day must have been a little different. Even the 1950s, some of those recipes, and even the ones that have pictures, just sound gross. Like frankfurters with mashed potatoes on top of them, things like that. Ugh, it just doesn't sound good at all. And I think our tastes have changed, and I think today shopping is so much more exciting than it was at one time because we have so much to choose from, so many different kinds of spices, so many different kinds of foods. When I was a child, we certainly didn't have that. I mean, to have had something like that, you would have had to go to a big city. And now, you can go to Walmart or you can go to any major supermarket and it's like a bazaar. You can literally choose anything. And that might be my challenge to you, to be creative. See either what you can create from an old cookbook with shortcuts, or buy a few, do a theme meal and go to Walmart or your supermarket or wherever you shop and gather those things and then tell me in the comments what you've done. And I may try that. I may create a theme. Now, one theme I really like is 70s meals. I have a list of foods that were popular in the 70s. And so I don't know what I'm going to do, but that might be a challenge. I might start doing some challenges. So let's see if we can create some kind of meal that they would have, you can do whatever you want, but would you want to do a 70s challenge and see what you can come up with the 70s meal? Just some products that are still around. Would you want to do that? I don't know. Just do something. And let's see what we come up with. I may try to do some. I don't know when. But when I do it, I'll let you know what I did. And we'll see what we come up with. I think it'd be fun. So I guess I'm just kind of rambling right now. But that's my creative challenge to you. Why don't you try some kind of a theme meal? Like from the 1970s or 60s. And then list what you did. And it doesn't have to be anything hard. Or create a recipe from an old cookbook and tell me the shortcut that you used. Oh, I can't wait. I hope I have lots of comments on this. I really hope people will comment on this video. So, to all you new subscribers, thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. And I am really looking forward to seeing how this challenge comes out. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.